Suburban City Councilman has a plan, a fresh new plan, to deal with the migrant crisis that every other politician seems to simply be ignoring. And we're going to talk about that here today and more on Speechless. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 23-year-old conservative college graduate, host of Speechless on Cities 92.9 and other radio stations. But we got a lot to get into today, and before we do, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, all that fun stuff, and make sure you do, because you don't want to miss a minute of any of this. And we have a lot of fun here on Speechless, but let's get into it. Suburban City Councilman out of Chicago has been asked repeatedly by constituents, what are we going to do about this migrant crisis? Some claim we've done too much, others claim we haven't done enough. And so he has a plan. Josh Mcbroom, city councilman from Naperville, Illinois being my hometown, actually, has a fascinating plan out of the Daily Herald. Everybody out of the Daily Herald, a Chicago newspaper. Would you want to house an asylum seeker? Naperville may want to know. As the Chicago region continues to respond to the influx of asylum seekers coming from Texas to Illinois, one Naperville councilman is proposing a novel approach. City Councilman Josh Mcbroom on Tuesday of this week suggested the city compile a list of residents who would voluntarily house new arrivals. The idea garnered enough support from half the council to have Naperville city staff explore the idea. Officials will report back later to the city council. Now, I actually have a recording from the city council meeting in which Mcbroom discusses this. Everybody, let's take a look and a listen.
In light of the fact that, I'm not going to support, using other people's money to house or aid, I do know that there's a lot of people that do care. And I think we live in a compassionate community. So, before we go down the road of, doing what, following suit on some of these other cities are taking action on, my idea would be let's find out. Let's find out who's willing to help, So, we do hear from constituents on both sides of this. What are we going to do to preemptively stop this? And then we hear from people that tell us we should do more. So, we do have a very affluent community, a lot of big homes. And what I'd like to do is direct staff to create a sign-up sheet. So, for individuals that would be willing to house migrant families. And if there's people that would do that, God bless them. So if we could raise awareness in that way, I think we need to find out. I think we need to find out who would be willing to house migrant families. And so that would be my new business. I'd be looking for support from the dais. Any questions, discussion, happy to have that.
Look, here's the genius in what Mcbroom did. Here's the genius in it all. Is he said it matter-of-factly. He said it, look, we're not going to spend taxpayer money, or I don't think we should spend taxpayer money on this. So, we have a lot of people in this town in which, if you don't know Naperville very well, has become fairly blue, almost impossible at the state and national level to run a Republican and win. So, you have people that voted for this kind of thing. They voted to be a sanctuary state. And he's saying, put your money where your mouth is. But he says it in a matter-of-fact way, and that's the genius to it. He doesn't come out like a lot of conservatives, Republicans, myself, will go up to anybody who's complaining, oh, kids in cages, or we need to be compassionate, we need to be helpful, like we can't just deport everyone. I say, well, then why don't you open your doors? And Naperville, as Josh mentioned, is an affluent community, fairly wealthy. A lot of very large homes. Homes in which I can tell you, not every room is always being used. Homes in which many of the people here, people who are also the same ones complaining that not enough is being done, could easily open their doors to any of these migrants. These are the same people that complain when Trump or anybody else says, a lot of illegal immigrants are criminals and they commit crimes here in the United States. We don't know who these people are, and that's a problem. When anybody says that, they come back at them and say, you're rude, these are nice people just looking for better lives. And so why don't you open your doors to them? And that's what Josh is saying. And it's an absolute genius move because he's saying, let's create a sign-up sheet. And it seems like it might actually happen. Mcbroom made this pitch the same day Governor J.B. Pritzker announced plans to devote $17 million to help municipalities that provide aid to migrants. So what's going on in Illinois? At the state level, J.B. Pritzker is spending your taxpayer money for municipalities, mainly areas around Cook County, around Chicago, to deal with this, quote, burden of the migrant crisis that Brandon Johnson would say to describe it. Mcbroom said Naperville has provided migrants safe passage to Chicago without spending taxpayer dollars to house or aid them. But with more migrants arriving in the area, Mcbroom says the city should look into whether any residents or organizations are willing to help. As you heard, he said, my idea would be, let's find out. Let's find out who's willing to help. If there are people who would do that, God bless them. Absolutely. If there are people that would do that, God bless them. There are no known organized efforts in the suburbs for residents to take in asylum seekers. On Tuesday, Pritzker said he was earmarking an additional $17 million in funding so communities could help with the ongoing crisis. The state will work with the Metropolitan Mayor Caucus, which will award $11 million to municipalities outside Chicago willing to support recent arrivals in their community. The remaining $6 million will be dedicated to setting up 13 new welcoming centers and to helping agencies focus on providing new arrivals with translation services, information about public benefits, and advocacy. Why are we talking about any of this? Why are we talking about any of this? Why has this become a crisis? Why has this become something that we have to devote $17 million of your taxpayer dollars to in the state of Illinois? Why is that something we're talking about? Because we can't handle it at the national level. Well, we can, but with our current quote-unquote leadership, we're not able to. Because the plan has been, we don't need one. Just let them come across. You know what the Statue of Liberty says. Give me your hungry, give me your poor. Let them in. Let them in. And here's what happened is you had states like Illinois who they said, well, we're not really a southern border state, so we're going to call ourselves a sanctuary state, or we'll have Chicago a sanctuary city, where you can come here and be illegal and live and get the better life that you want. But they're never actually going to have to deal with that. And then they shame Texas for not doing the same thing. But we're not on the southern border. Illinois isn't. So we'll never actually have to pay for the consequences. Well, Texas and Florida have been calling bluffs recently by busing these migrants up to, these illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, up to these sanctuary cities. And now it's, oh my God, we weren't prepared for this. We weren't prepared for this. You guys can't do this. Well, you should have been prepared because you called yourself a sanctuary city. The Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Executive Director Neil James said Wednesday that details for the grant application process are still being worked out. However, factors such as a town's willingness to help with housing and food will be considered as the groups review applications for the $11 million in grant funding. He said it's too early to tell which municipalities will apply. Our position is that a whole of government response, the state, municipalities, and federal, said Geneva Mayor Kevin Burns, who also serves as president of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. The assistance is necessary from every level of government, and that's why we're grateful for additional funding from Illinois, and that's why we're going to continue to seek support from the federal government. Meanwhile, Mcbroom acknowledges there are many unanswered questions about his idea to have Naperville residents voluntarily house migrants. Some of those include the impact the proposal may have on local schools and what role the city would play in managing a list of volunteer hosts. But he maintained the current state of affairs is, quote, inhumane and said a stronger federal response is needed. And that's the thing. I believe it's inhumane, the current way that we're dealing with this. But it's not the kids in cages that Trump was so bad. And, sorry to disrupt the narrative, but that actually started under Obama. It was a thing under Obama, the kids in cages that all the left will whine about. Yeah. But at least it's not that. So instead, here's something that actually happened in New York. Not even kidding you. In New York, they had to send, from certain school districts, they had to send kids home and have the kids do e-learning while illegal immigrants were in the schools. learning and getting processed. Actual thing that's happened. And now here's what's happening in Chicago. You have all these people that were on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, all that stuff. Sorry, not Medicare. So they're all on all these social benefits. They're on all these social benefits. Well, now the migrants come, oh, we can't necessarily offer nearly as much in social benefits and social services because it's got to go to these illegal immigrants that never paid taxes, have not paid into the system. Not that these social services are anything great, and the people on those should probably be getting off of them too. But now we're providing these services for people that have done nothing to contribute, literally nothing, have not even lived in the country, and yet they get these social services. And now the Chicago citizens are getting really mad about it. And these migrants, well, they can't really offer everything to every migrant in Chicago, so now they come into these affluent surrounding suburbs, the people that don't necessarily want to be in the city but want to be close enough for their jobs in the big buildings at the top floor, in the corner office. Oh, well, these people, they've always had so much compassion, but now that it's knocking on their door, they don't want to live up to it. And that's what Josh Mcbroom is saying. Sign up, everybody. Do the sign-up sheet. Do the sign-up sheet and see what happens. Everybody, I hope you got something out of this, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, and share it with your friends. We'll be back next time with more Speechless. God bless you. God bless America. I'm Kev Phares.